Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Dr. Robinson here again, and we're going to continue our series of Teacher Time. We are working on an interesting subject because it's now time to get down to real business. I love what Maya Angelou said. I learned that people will forget what you said, people will forget what you did, but they'll never will forget how you made them feel. So here we go. I'm going into the observation. The fourth week of school is when the administrators are released out to the teaching population to do what they do and see if you're doing the right things for the kids. So I'm going to give you some tips and show you what I know about these observations and give you some pointers what I did to get a few distinguishes. And this is a copy of my last observation back in December 9, 2022. So let's get it. So the best teachers can sometimes have a bad day. And we're human. We make mistakes. So when you make a mistake and you're not sure of something in an observation and the administrator points it out to you in the post-conference, it's considered a chance to regroup, learn, and grow as an educator from what they pointed out to you. And that's basically what administrators are there for, to help you grow to be a great teacher. So here's what we use in Peak Skill, the learning plan guide. We have 9 questions that we're supposed to answer, and I'll do my best to go with it, let you know what I wrote about it, but they basically made this form for us to write out in the pre-observational conference. So you have a conference about what you're planning on doing so the administrator can come to your class and understand what's going on. So this is your time to show off your best stuff. So hopefully you will get a good write-up or some ideas of what I've done to answer these 9 questions. So there are the other 4. So here we go. In Peak Skill, we're using the model of Charlotte Danielson. She has a model of teacher evaluations, and that's what we use. So let me go into her framework. She has 4 parts to her framework, and each domain is what the administrator will be using to grade you as a teacher for your students. So I can't go over all 4 now because I'm going to tell you now, it's a lot. So I'll take it into small bits and pieces and try to give you something that you'll remember. So I'm going to start with Domain 1, the planning and preparation stage for your lesson. So, all right, so these parts, the administrators will be scoring to see if you have the knowledge of your content and pedagogy, demonstrating knowledge of students, setting instructional outcomes, demonstrating knowledge of resources, designing coherent instruction, designing student assessments. So this is a lot to deal with in order to prepare a lesson, but if you're going to be distinguished, is what I hope, you have to do as much as you can with these bullets that they're giving you. So let me show you some vocabulary words that Ms. Danielson wants you to use for the different levels. So here's some key words. Now, again, I want you to be highly effective and distinguished, or effective and proficient, because those are the teachers that will best help serve our student population. The highly effective teacher or distinguished teacher, student-directed success. I had a lot of success with my students because my students ran the class. I just in the back and either tutored somebody or sat in their group and allowed the kids to run the class, go through the work and everything. I didn't do much work, but if you looked at my cooperative learning video, you'll see how I set it up. So that's a good video to check out if you want to do that. The teacher-directed success, that's proficient, where the teacher is basically doing the work, doing all the talking, and doing everything, and it's proficient because you'll use keywords: consistent, effective, successful, appropriate, individualized, clear, positive, smooth. So most teachers do that, and they're proficient. But if you're going to get into the student-directed, highly effective teacher mode, you got to use a different type of vocabulary in your classroom by allowing the students to dig deeper and thoroughly into your lesson. And it takes a lot of skill. Like I said, I happen to get lucky with this, so I try to make the kids dig deeper into their vocabulary. And I don't just ask a question. I let the students think about what they're going to say, and I ask another student, what do you think about what they said? Do you agree, disagree? Why? Why is a very important word to use, because they really have to think and dig deep to answer that question. So you might want to use that word why a lot. All right, well, what administrators look for, they have a scorecard to see what they're looking for, and I highlighted unsatisfactory for a reason. I don't know if you've seen the movie Ferris Bueller's Day Off. Great movie about teachers. And there was one teacher who basically read a newspaper during class, and the kids did their work, but it was interesting. So if you haven't seen Ferris Bueller's Day Off, check it out. But teachers display little understanding of the subject or structure of the discipline or of content-related pedagogy. So if you don't understand what you're teaching, the kids will know it, and if you have a administrator in there and you don't know what you're supposed to be teaching, you're going to have a big problem. So I'm going to show you what you should be doing. And again, my goal is to either make you distinguished or proficient, because those are the teachers that the district will keep. If you're an untenured teacher and you don't represent proficiency or border on the distinguished mode, you will not be in that school very long. So I highlighted just a couple of things that I want you to be aware of. For the distinguished teacher uses ongoing methods to assess students' skill level and designs instructions accordingly. So the method of what the teacher is doing, they're trying to find out what the kids not only know, but to design something that'll make them even dig deeper into the subject matter. And I find myself many times telling stories about things that happened to me and why mathematics is so important to know. And when I tell them, I say, yes, this really happened. I remember going down to Florida, and we stopped in a store, and they said they had a sign out there that said hot dogs, $100. And I'm like, let me take a picture of this. So I took a picture, put it on my smartboard, and told the students, I was down in Florida, and here's a picture I took. And when I happened to go into the store, I asked the lady, I said, is that hot dog really $100? And she said, oh no, we just forgot the decimal point. And I said, oh, well, as a math teacher, I was questioning. So proficiency. For the proficient teacher, they at least expect you to examine previous year's cumulative folders to ascertain the proficiency level of your groups, of the students in the class. So that way you'll know what you're dealing with, what kind of students you have to deal with. In our school in Peekskill, we have a high number of Hispanic students, and you have to design stuff for them. I found myself giving 2 types of assessment, one in English and one in Spanish. I did talk to some teachers, and some teachers said, well, I don't know Spanish. So they just give them the English copy of the assignment. And the students would tell me, because they said, Dr. Rob, you speak Spanish. Can you help translate this? And when I saw what happened, and I'm like, oh, you got to get a Spanish copy of that. Your teacher's not giving you a Spanish copy? And they said no. So I always made sure I translated my work into Spanish so they would have that. And when I was observed, the principal definitely noticed that there is something for the kids who don't read or speak English well. Here's a pretest that I would give. I would always start my class off with an entrance ticket, and it would give me some information that I needed to assess them. And this was the last entrance ticket I gave on the 9th of December 2022. Had my scores, and there's my student's first name. And here's one of the questions that we had to answer. How will you differentiate for different levels, for different individuals or groups of students in the class? Well, what I said was, students will be allowed to work in groups or independently, because I had some students who did not like the group, and I tried to encourage them, but if they wanted to do it by themselves, I had no problem with that. I also grouped the students together to work with personally, because there might have been a group of kids who needed something all together, and I worked with them at a certain table. In each group, there was a leader and a problem solver or checker who assisted the students with their group work. So somebody was there helping each other out. Sometimes I would take the leader of the group and get them to come to my desk, and I would show them a question that we'll be going into, and I would show them how to solve it, and they would understand how to do it. And I said, okay, your job now is to go back to your group and show them all how to do this problem. And they went back, and they were really feeling very important, because they have to now do some teaching. So the individual requirement of each student would be met by varying the mode of instruction. Like I said, the kids ran the class. I didn't. I hate doing all the talking. I like my kids to talk. I used a lot of technology, notebook software, smart notebooks software, and I'm still using that right now. Promethean board, Pear Deck software, Versatiles, projector, computer, videos. We also had game theory. I had buzzers in my classroom for when we were answering questions. We did role reversal. I had different students come up and pretend to be me, and made some. I really had some good teachers, also, student teachers. Yeah, cooperative learning, pairing of students, flipped classroom approach. So I used all of those different things to teach my class. And this was the pretest. When I tested them after, because one of the questions from the paper that the lesson plan asked, how will I know if the students learn what I taught? So my answer to that would be based on the entrance ticket that I gave the next day, the word wall assignment. Their class grade in this case was a 79.1, and I contributed that to our cooperative learning strategies. I also have a website, a YouTube account, where I have over 1,300 subscribers, and they watch my tutorial videos, and some of my videos have over 35,000 views. I have one video that has over 97,000 views. So that was there for them to use. In my pretest, I always ask questions like, how are you feeling today? Tell me something you like about school or math. And here is one interesting thing. Something I love about math, it sometimes can be fun. How is the group work going so far? And somebody said, fair, I need more help from my group, which allowed me to find out what was going. Notice it was Spanish, so I had to get in there and find out who's the leader and my checker, and find out how come they're not helping this person. So it gave me great information, these entrance tickets. And of course I had my work. Did you watch the video? So I was curious about that. And some people said no, some people said yes. And I also asked them, did they want to continue with the group work? Some said yes, some said no, and a maybe. So I got my information, and I brought this into my post conference, and that was my data. I also had charts based on the Excel spreadsheet that I did about the math videos. Were they helpful? How many agreed or strongly or neutral or didn't think it was helpful? So I was happy to see that the videos were helping. So I presented that to my administrator. Well, and I know I said a lot. I have a lot going on in this tape, and I'm sorry if it's boring you and not putting you in what you think it should be, but it's a lot, so I don't want to wear you out. But effective teachers plan and prepare for lessons using their extensive knowledge of the content area. The relationships among different strands within the content and between the subject and other disciplines, and their students' prior understanding of the subject. So, good to make sure you tell your stories that relate to other subjects. Instructional outcomes are clear, so my kids understand what's going on, represent important learning in the subject, and are aligned with the curriculum. And this is planning, so you have to look at the curriculum to make sure you know what you're doing. The instructional design includes learning activities that are well sequenced and require students to think, problem solve, inquire, and defend conjectures and opinion. In my class, I allowed my groups to talk about it. I would just throw out a question, and they have to come up with an answer, and we allowed the students with their whiteboards to vote on what they agreed when it was time to answer our question for the day. And it was very, very nice. Effective teachers, though, design formative assessments to monitor learning. You're always testing to find out what's going on with the students, if they're learning. And they provide information needed to differentiate instruction. Because if you find out information that the students are not getting it, you have to go a different direction in order to make sure the students are learning. So you have to differentiate the instruction. Measures of student learning align with the curriculum, enabling students to demonstrate their understanding in more than one way. So I like this statement because the students are on display, not the teacher. So it's about the student. And the students will learn very well if they're all working together. But if you got the teacher talking at them all period long, from the beginning of class to all the way to the end, you will see that they'll not do well. But when they're talking to each other, exchanging ideas, it's great. I hope you got something out of this, because this is just the first part of the Danielson model, planning and preparation. And somebody's told me, if you don't learn to plan, you plan to fail. So please make sure your planning allows the student to take over the class. So that's number one. And I got another one coming up soon. So you can watch me on YouTube. My channel name is Dan Robinson, PKMS, Peak Skill Middle School. Subscribe to my channel and give us a thumbs up if you like what we're doing. If you have questions, write me. I'll gladly write you back. We have our Math Prep 21 there on YouTube. So check it out, PKMS Math Prep 21. And if you want to X me, I think I got a bird there, so it should be X. I got to fix that. At DRob Math 1. Watch us again Tuesday on Cablevision at 6 p.m. to 6:30 p.m. We come on in Peak Skill and Ossining on Channel 15 on Cablevision, of course. And we also come on Yorktown, Channel 74, and we're also in New Rochelle, Channel 76. So check us out. And we also have our Math Time show on Tuesdays as well, a little earlier at 4:30 p.m. to 5 p.m. Same channels. So get your students to watch what we're doing. And I have it up there. Mira el tiempo de matemáticas, martes 4:30, Optimum Cablevision, mismo canales, says. Sorry, excuse my poor Spanish. I try, though. So if you want more information on this topic, write me at robinsonmath@aol.com. I do write back. So I hope you enjoyed our Teacher Time show, because it was a lot for observation, and that was just part one. So I'll be doing part two, the classroom environment, and hopefully that'll be more interesting for you, because I have a lot of things that I did in the classroom to have my students enjoy and made sure they had what they need in order to be successful. Math is hard. School is hard. And if we can make it understandable that the students can react in the proper way, we'll be successful. So I thank you for joining me. Teacher Time Show, Tuesdays, 6 p.m. So give us a thumbs up if you like the video, or write us a comment. All right, that's my buzzer. I gotta wrap it up. Thank you so much for watching.